And here we are. Welcome to Safe Harbor's Captain's Corner, your place to get informed about first steps to recovery. Today's topic is all about how we work together as service agencies to create safe and healthy communities. And we are super excited to have Brian Bradley, Managing Director at the Mustard Seed in Central Alberta, as guest today. Hi, Byron.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, we too. So let's welcome Byron and our Captain Kath. Hi, Kath.
Hey, everybody.
And this week's episode has the title, It Takes a Village. And my name is Kirsten Hewer. I am the First Mate Marketing at the Harbour. And as always, please post your questions in the comments or just pop in and say hi. So let's get right in. Byron and Kath. So I would love to ask you, we have two shelters here in Red Deer who helps people that need different services. So can you explain, maybe the question goes first to Byron, what exactly is the service that the Mustard Seed offers here in Central Alberta?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much. This month we'll be celebrating our 38th anniversary in Alberta. And just this past Canada Day, we celebrated 5 years in Red Deer. So excited.
5 years already?
Wow.
5 years.
Holy doodle, that went so fast.
It did go by really fast. And I'm just so happy to be here. No, don't be sorry. Just coming new to the community, Kath Hoffman and Safe Harbour have just become such a close partner of ours, working so closely together. So we're just so pleased to be here today, but of course to work so closely alongside in Red Deer. So the Mustard Seed offers a variety of services. One of the first things is we have a health and wellness center that we launched just over 2 years ago. We have a doctor that runs a family clinic every Wednesday night, welcoming people of all ages in. And we also have graduate counseling students that offer mental health therapy and addiction support. An advocate that helps people one-on-one in there. We also have a chiropractor, had a registered nurse a couple times. And so just kind of wraparound wellness for people for both physical and mental health supports. We're also expanding our wellness center as we speak. We're hiring a full-time mental health therapist, and we're also hiring a full-time occupational therapist as well to join the team. So we're really excited about that. We have one thing that's in common is we both have housing diversion workers now. And so we're really excited to be able to offer just support to people to try to divert them from shelter, because a shelter should really just be an emergency. And unfortunately, Kath and her team have been fighting this for so long in the community. So many people are caught up on a mat in a shelter because of the lack of housing and because of the lack of supportive housing in the community. And so with the diversion worker, they're going to be able to help keep people in shelter for as less amount of nights as possible, because a shelter is not a home. It should be a temporary place. So excited to have that diversion worker starting with us. One of the other programs that a lot of people know the Mustard Seed for in Red Deer is our school lunch program. So over the last 5 years, we've made and delivered 273,000 lunches. So it's about 350 to 500 every day. And those go out every school day to about 48 schools across 7 Central Alberta towns and cities. So that really grew during COVID. It used to be just in Red Deer, and now we're in another 6 communities across Central Alberta. So that's,
Byron, how are you getting all that food?
Yeah,
lots of donations.
I was gonna say, I bet. Hey, that's a great place for people to help kids.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of donations from the local community. A few companies. We get stuff like from a bakery. We get fresh whole wheat buns delivered every day.
Right on.
Olimel, we get meat for the sandwiches directly from them.
Awesome.
And then lots of people from the community just supporting financially and stepping in, volunteering to make those lunches. It's about a 95% volunteer driven program. And so not a lot of staff hours.
Yeah.
So it's sad that the need is there, but great that the community just kind of rallies around us to help.
Well, and you know what? That's what I find is so many people want to help, right?
Yeah.
and what are the different ways they can do it. And that's awesome.
Yeah, and then that opens up some other opportunities in schools. And so, like just Thanksgiving last month, I believe it was 480 turkey dinners, like turkey hampers, were delivered to families. And so
Cool.
they got a turkey, they got a roasting pan, they got potatoes, stuffing, the whole thing, and also directions for someone in case a family hasn't baked a turkey before. Just give them some tips. And so that got
Cool.
delivered out to over 400 families on Thanksgiving, just around Thanksgiving. So that was really cool. And then also we've partnered with the Red Deer Food Bank as well to right when COVID began to bring hampers right to people's doors.
Yeah.
And so that partnership with the food bank has been really key as well. We also serve dinner 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We average between 125 and 150 people for dinner. And so, of course, that was challenging early in COVID, but having to do meals just at the door, in a bag kind of deal. But we have returned to sit down dining meals and just kind of spread everybody out, make sure they have safe space as much as possible.
Just a shout out from the Harbour on that note. Mustard seed also helps Safe Harbour, our shelter, with bagged meals too through COVID. And we so appreciated that.
Yeah, we're happy to help, Kath.
I know. I love you guys.
We love you. And so, and that's something that's really important to us is, we do get blessed with donations. And so we want to share that as much as we can across the community. So when Kath called there probably 5 days after COVID began in March and said, "Hey, buddy, can you help us out with some meals?" It wasn't even a decision. It was just, I got off the phone, called the team. "Hey guys, can we make an extra 100 meals a day for Safe Harbor?" And they said, "No problem." And so happy to help out, but we can only do that because of the support from the community. And
right on.
So really happy to do that. So so over the last, so we're kind of celebrating our 5-year anniversary. So the numbers are kind of, we're kind of using those numbers this year to celebrate and say thank you to the community. So the regular meals, 528,000 meals. And so between the, 200, just over 200,000. So between the school lunch program and our regular meals, it's over 520,000 meals across the last 5 years. And so that's
so cool.
Incredible. Yeah. So
that's incredible.
Fantastic. 46 bed shelter, sober shelter. Safe Harbor used to operate that shelter for, I think, 20 years up until December 2016. And so in December 2016, Kath reached out and they wanted to be able to focus on one property, and being split across a few properties, that's difficult. And so we took over the operation of the sober shelter in our basement, and so have been operating that ever since. And so it's space for people that are not choosing substances that day. They're welcome to come into the shelter and stay overnight. And so it's an overnight shelter. It's not open during the daytime, although we do have fellowship drop-in during the day as well, a couple days a week. But that shelter operates overnight.
Yeah. So Byron, I have a question. Like you just mentioned, like you have 46 beds for overnight. So isn't it like, why do we have 2 shelters, and why, like, wouldn't it be easier to have it all in one building, like you and Kath together, and not you and not personally, but the Harbour and the Mustard Seed? Wouldn't it be either like operational wise to have it all under one roof? Maybe Kath and Byron for both of you.
Yeah. Well, really, if a person is somewhere on a continuum of care, or there's, different stages of change in someone's life. And so for some people that might be choosing substances, they may be feeling that, that's an okay thing for them, and they have the right to make those decisions, and they may not want to, let's say, turn their lives around or to stop using substances. Then there's other people that are actively trying to find recovery. They're trying to find sobriety. They're fighting for sobriety. And then, and they're maybe they're going through those daily struggles. And then there's some people that aren't using substances. And so it's very important on that continuum of care in a community to offer different options for people. And so we can really only exist in Red Deer because Safe Harbor exists. So if you're a person that is fighting for sobriety, one of the main things that addiction counselors will tell you across the world is if you want, one of the main stages of recovery is to change your environment. And so if you are rubbing shoulders, if you are spending a majority of your time around people that are actively choosing substances, and you're a person that wants recovery, it's very, very, very difficult to stay away from substance use. That peer pressure and the temptation of seeing those things around you is very, very difficult. So it's very important for us to have a distinct environment that is sober. And so you could be maybe within a few blocks of one another, but being in the same walls or even on another side of a wall, it's not an ideal situation. It can be done, but it's very difficult. And it's really hard on is the person who's fighting for sobriety. It's very, very hard. So if they can be in a different area of town, that is ideal. And we want to create that place for them. We want to create a safe place for the people choosing substances. And we also want to create a safe place for people that don't use any substances or trying to turn their lives around and get away from substance use. So to answer your question, it's not a good idea to have people in the same building that are kind of trying to find recovery in their lives.
Yeah, that makes totally sense. So how many people do you serve? Like you mentioned, like the dinner, but in a night, like how many people come and who can come? Is it
Sure
families or male, female, a specific age range, or how does that work?
So it's a 46-bed adult shelter, and it's about 80% male, 20% female. And of course, we welcome people of all genders. And so if you're a human being, you're welcome at the Mustard Seed. Everyone's welcome at the Mustard Seed. So all human beings, however people identify themselves. And so, 46 spaces for people. And it, again, is an adult shelter. If a youth comes to us, we will contact appropriate support services in the community to support them. We do have families, and sometimes we do have kids that come into our meal services on their own. And so we try to make sure they get the appropriate services. And especially when families come in, that really pulls on the heartstrings a lot. And so we try to do whatever we can to make sure they leave with a hamper and maybe some fresh milk. At our dinners, we also hand out a lot of excess donations. And so fresh fruit and vegetables, fresh dairy products. We have a staff that goes around to about 20 to 25 businesses every working day picking up donations. And so a lot of that that's all food donations. And so we hand out a lot of stuff like Starbucks, for instance. So we have hundreds of snacks from Starbucks that we're able to hand out throughout the day. And then we have hygiene items. So people come by and get, soap and deodorant and feminine hygiene products, and the list goes on. Emergency clothing as well. And so 46 people are able to come in at night. We average between 125 and 150 people for dinner. At our wellness center, we have around 250 services each month. So about 250 people come every month to either see the doctor, a mental health therapist, an advocate. And then we also have spiritual care services that are optional to people. And we have Bible studies, prayer meetings, one-on-one spiritual counseling. And then also twice a week, we have a Celebrate Recovery meeting, which is like an alternative to AA. And that we just added a daytime program, and it is incredible. We've been seeing some really good results of people attending this call it CR, Celebrate Recovery, at the Mustard Seed. And so, again, I can't stress enough just the community involvement. And I guess the last number that I'll share in terms of stats is 41,769 volunteer hours over the last 5 years. So It's over 8,000 hours that people donate of their time to the Mustard Seed. So whether that's coming in at 7 o'clock in the morning and making a lunch, or that's Dr. Kathy coming in and running the family clinic, and the list goes on. Folks that come in and separate all the bags of donations that come in, cleaning dishes, you name it. It really takes, I think that takes a village, as it says here today, as our theme. And really it takes a whole village. And so, you know, the team in the shelter works so closely with the team at the Harbour. And so if somebody shows up that is under the influence of drugs and alcohol, we always do a screening with them, have a conversation, and always try to be just like Safe Harbor, very, very high dignity of people, and just asking them if they've been using substances. If they have been, then we'll call the team over, Kath's team, and we will send somebody over in a taxi and make sure they're safe, because we want them to have a safe place to lay down and to sleep at nighttime. And so a lot of back and forth.
That tight partnership, it was crucial over the years when we were not in Cannery Row and desperate for shelter spaces in the community to make sure we could, keep everybody inside overnight. And Byron's team and our shelter team we're in contact nightly just on what are your numbers. Okay, we're full. If Buddy comes and he's not too bad, can you keep him tonight? That was really important. All the more reason we're really grateful to have the extra space at Cannery Row for the next 3 months anyways. So, because the community counts on us to do that. Not just the community that we serve, but the community that we live in. People are always concerned about the people we serve in the winter, and they want to know, what are those stats? Did everybody get in that wanted to get in, And so, that partnership serves the community well, for sure.
So what would like a typical, like on a day-to-day basis, like how would the collaboration look like? I know like Safe Harbor, we have an outreach team, and like, do you have like you find someone and maybe like they are able to go to the mustard seed, can they go there right away? Or are there other things where you collaborate? How does it work on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I think that like other services in Red Deer, and I think Byron would echo this, we all need to be aware of what each other offers. Our outreach teams definitely know that, the Turning Point outreach team, our outreach team, Byron's wellness folks. We need to know what resources are out there, so I think that because Red Deer is still kind of a small town that way with in regards to relationships and history, very often if you phone somebody in Red Deer, hey, this is how old I am. If you phone somebody in Red Deer, you can, you know what they look like when you're talking to them on the phone because you've run into them. And those relationships have always been really important to keep that web of resources and connection working for people, to try and save people from going to 100 doors to get what they need. Communication.
So what are some are there like typical challenges that you both come across, where like are there situations where people can go to the one or to the other, and what do you do then? Are there other challenges that the community, I don't know about because they are not so deeply involved?
Well, once again, Byron, you jump in after me and see if I'm on the right track here for you. I know that I think the most important thing that the Mustard Seed, Safe Harbor, Turning Point, anybody who's providing those frontline services, the biggest, maybe the thing that is going to help us the most together as a community is that our mayor and our councillors and our neighbors and our big broader community understand and see the difference between the issues that are going on and the nonprofits who are there to help. And I think very often they get lumped together as the same thing in people's thinking. Okay, there's all this garbage, there's all this debris, and it's all around the Mustard Seed, or it's all around Safe Harbor, therefore it's their fault, and they have to have, and they don't understand I don't know why, but it's real, and there's also another interesting thing I heard. And I decided on Facebook, I'm going to ask people to answer this question for me, because I keep hearing this term, true homeless. These are the true homeless. Apparently there's two kinds. There's people that are true and truly homeless. And I think that's tied to whether or not they're addicted to anything or doing anything illegal. So I would say, Byron, over at your place with the sober crowd and everybody's working towards sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, you got the true homeless. And I'm curious to see what I got. But and all of that, except for the fact that this is really our challenge as leadership, I think, is to show the community, and we show them by what we're doing, but sometimes they can't see, sometimes they can't hear. And that's the trick. How are we going to get that message across, that the issue is the issue and it needs its attention all by itself? The nonprofits are there just trying to help as best they can with what they have, right? What do you say, Byron Bradley?
Well said, Kath Hoffman. And reading your article, your interview last week in the paper, it made me a little emotional. I can't quote exactly what you said, but just that we're just trying our best to help people is what we're trying to do. At both organizations and Turning Point and others, you have a bunch of very caring people, people that maybe could be making more money elsewhere, but just feel drawn to the caring profession, to step in the gap and be there for people. These are people's moms and dads, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters. And sometimes those relationships, those families aren't able to care anymore. But often people are just born into very tragic situations. They're born into where trauma is touching them at a very early age as their brain's developing. And we all know with adverse childhood effects that it affects you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And so we have these adults that were born into very traumatic situations, or have made some choices along the way, that we all make mistakes and choices along the way that have consequences. But you just have these organizations that are trying their best to provide as many services as possible for these people, and to give them dignity and treating them with respect and showing them love and just caring for them.
Well, and so, I also agree 100% with the community that sometimes they're very difficult to love. And, I drive by and I see a mess at the Harbour, and I just want to go shake everybody and say, well, you guys smarten up, like holy doodle, right? And I forget where they are. They're not thinking about any of that, right? Yeah. I am, because I know about the microscope, you know what I mean? And that challenge that we have as a human race to remember that these guys are sick. Yeah. Whether they're stealing stuff or in a psychotic state, they're anxious, they're stressed out, up the wazoo. Yeah.
They're in constant, you're so right, Kat. They're barely hanging on, so many. Yeah. They're in survival mode daily.
Yeah.
And so like when I come down the hill to the mustard daily, I look over to the green space and hold my breath. And we've done a lot of hard work in our property since coming in, and there used to be a lot more loitering back in the day, and we try really hard to not allow people on the property. And like the neighbors, many of them have my cell phone number, and we text back and forth, and they say, hey, let us know when there's struggles. We'll do our best to come over and tell people to show a little bit more respect. But
it's hard.
These folks are hard to love. These folks are hard to not, get angry at. And
because we have expectations of them at a time when their brains aren't firing right, their bodies are out of whack, they're totally disconnected from anything healthy, if you will, in that moment. And their community looks a lot like them. So it's a ton of work, and it certainly can't be up to just any one or two or three organizations who are trying to do everything they can. There's system failures all over. This is the bottom of the barrel, if you will, of the result of all of that, right? So we're paying the price now. I know it makes a huge difference with the substances. With crystal meth, things have changed so much for people's behaviors, opioid poisonings, all of that, right? We never had this 10 years ago. I always want to say bring crack back. Like, it might have taken your money, but it left your brain usually. This is scary stuff for our kids.
It's very,
But
very scary, very,
yeah,
very dangerous, and people
yeah,
overdosing daily in our
yeah,
community. And so many people have concurring disorders, so they're dealing with both addiction and mental health. And so one might be better than the other, and then you have a bad day with your mental health, and then it makes you want to
yeah,
go to substance use, and it's this vicious cycle for people. And so they need to have supports all the way around the community.
all right
And to
around.
echo what you said before, Kath, yeah, our new council, our new mayor,
Yeah,
we're not going to find a perfect location for a new shelter. We've had money announced from the provincial government. What has it been? 3 years, I think, Kath, maybe 4 years.
2.5.
Yeah, it feels a lot longer. And so that's what we need. Safe Harbour, especially, not having a proper facility, having to wait for the last minute before we find out about if they're going to have an extra space for people. It's critical. It's an absolute emergency for our community to create a space and find a space. We were meeting a lot before COVID and making some progress, and then it just came to a halt. And so
Yeah,
we really need to find a location that will work for people. That's a central location.
yeah,
Some people in the community say, well, put it out in the middle of a farmer's field, or put it, in the middle of summer where there's no one around. Well, that just doesn't work, because as a human, you need to have access to the same things that I'm very privileged to access, like a doctor, like a pharmacy, like a grocery store, like a place of worship, a place to volunteer, to play sports, to go swimming. And so you got to be in a place where people are able to access these
yeah,
services in the community. And so it's just critical for us. I know it was said before, somebody said that let's just send them off to Calgary, or let's send them to another community. This is home for them.
yeah,
And we need a solution here in our home. It's not going to go away. And we want to see crime come down as much as anyone in the community. We want to see people's lives turn around as much as anyone in the community. And
yeah.
so we just have to find a solution. The need is just getting bigger and bigger for our most vulnerable people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and for all the housing meetings and plans and committees I sat on through the years, I never got a real taste personally about what it feels like to almost be evicted in the middle of November. And okay, now I kind of get what people feel like when they don't know where they're going to be living, whether or not my staff can stay at the harbor, all of that, right? It was like, yeah, okay, I'm homeless. I got a 3-month lease and then I'm homeless again, right? So it's like, okay, let's solve this really quick right now, you guys. Now I'm really tasting it. It was horribly stressful. And especially for our team and for many people like yourself, Byron, in the community who are thinking, okay, if Safe Harbor is not there, holy doodle, we better get ready.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are we going to do?
We're the last stop for so many people.
Yeah.
I remember a night when, I don't know, maybe someone in their mid 40s pulled up and dropped their mom off at the front door and said, we can't care for mom anymore. And they pull out the luggage out of the back suitcase and drives away. And mom comes into the shelter terrified. She's never been homeless before, but her family couldn't care for her anymore. And there was nowhere for her to go. So she came into the mustard seed and just terrified. So if we didn't have Safe Harbor in the mustard seed, and there's so many different paths to homelessness. I've met so many people that have been very stable and very, very very secure jobs, and something happens to them. They lose a loved one. There's some kind of relationship breakup. There's financial crisis. They lose a job. I've had people show up at the door with $1,500 suits, terrified, saying, I need a hamper to get by to the next 2 weeks. There's just a lot of people that just walk in from the community that aren't even homeless, for instance. So at the mustard seed, probably about 40 to 50% of the people we care for actually aren't homeless, but they are lacking community. They're lacking belonging. And so they're coming for just to hang out with people. They're coming to be in relationship with people. And so that's another thing that's really critical about our space is just a lot of people even drive in. They drive in for dinner, they grab a hamper, maybe some hygiene products, or maybe they come out to a Bible study or come see the doctor. And so a lot of people rely on our organizations that may not even be homeless as well.
Yeah. Kirsten, you know, when I was doing outreach 100 years ago for Canadian Mental Health, I always went to the mustard seed. It was loaves and fishes back then, to hook up with people right at supper time, right? 5 o'clock. Then I knew I could find people there, right? So I'd go there. The first time I went there, and I thought I knew, you know, when you always think you know and you don't know and you're going to learn really quick. I learned really quick that night when I saw kids run to the food table. Run, because they were so hungry. And I remember coming home that night and I was looking in my cupboards at all the stuff I had in my cupboards. And I just went upstairs and had a bath. And I think I cried in my bathtub for half an hour. You know, when you really see, when you really feel that need, everything else goes away.
Yeah.
And it's just that right there in that moment. And that's what I saw when those kids were running to that table. And I was like, thank God for these people helping these kids right now. You know, that's what it's all about. It takes a village.
Sure does.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Cool. We did really good, you guys. This is really fun.
And Kath, come back for coffee at supper time, please. We'd love to have you.
I should. It's been a long time, man.
Come for coffee.
Wow. This has been like a really good eye-opening episode, I think, for everyone listening. And like for me, like really knowing that we need different entry points because like we might...
people are different.
Yeah. And like not having Safe Harbor maybe means that they couldn't be able to access mustard seed at a different point because they were just not there in their journey. And really meeting them where they are and that connection piece, like this is so important. So, I'm so thankful that that we have the mustard seed, that we have Safe Harbor and all the other agencies that are working together. Wow. Okay, so I think this was a really good session. I'm just looking through our comments here. The work that we all do is incredible. Thank goodness for you and your dedication. Thank you, Diana. That is really, I think like we only, you always know what you, how's it right? What you have if you don't have it anymore. Like what you had when you don't have it. So I think for everyone not knowing like what those services mean would be really important to check out the mustard seed, for example, and see like what are those hampers look like what work does it take to get all this done every day, and so to really open your eyes to what we have in our community. So someone just so Louise just said, hi there. What helped to change my perspective was volunteering at the kitchen. My heart, you do wonders. I saw. So thank you everyone for joining us today live or even watching the replay. Thank you, Byron.
Thanks for being on Captain's Corner.
Thank you for being on
Captain's inviting
Corner.
me.
Did you have fun or what?
I had lots of fun. It was great. Thank you so much.
So, Kath, do you want to say our last?
As always.
Steady
as she goes.
Steady as she goes. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.